everyone, and welcome to my channel. For those of you that are new, my name is SJ with SJ Protective Styles, and for those of you that are returning, welcome back. In today's video, if you can't tell by the title, I am doing a review on Kerry Washington's new book, Thicker Than Water. Kerry Washington I am a huge fan of Kerry Washington. She's not quite there with Beyonce, but she's up there, okay? I initially fell in love with Kerry Washington watching Scandal. And if you guys remember Scandal, season 1, Gladiators, where they used to talk like 150 miles per minute. So, I told you how much I love Kerry Washington. Fun fact. In 2016, I did a mini hair show. It was a healthy hair show, and the concept was we're not just promoting healthy hair, but because everything else affects the health of your hair, your mental, your physical, your spiritual. I wanted to incorporate aspects of that into the hair show. So I brought in different resources in the community. We had vendors that promoted those things. I wanted to bring in a celebrity guest, and because obviously I'm not on the scale of Bronner Brothers, it was really a really small scale hair show, and that celebrity guest just so happened to be Kerry Washington's hairstylist, Takesha Sturdivant Drew. So needless to say, yes, I do really love Kerry Washington. I was so happy to hear that she was coming out with this book. I pre-ordered the book, and I was really shocked that she even wrote the book, because if you really know Kerry, you know that she is an extremely private person. I read the book, well, I listened to it on Audible. So read the book, listened to the book on Audible in 2 days. I read like 90% of it on the first day. And I love that the Audible version is her actual voice. Even though the book is her words, it just makes it feel even more so like it's her words, because it's also her voice reading the book. Spoiler alert, so if you have not read the book, I'm going to be talking about very specific things in the book. If you're one of those people you don't want to know absolutely anything before reading the book, you should stop the video now. However, if you're one of those people, you're like, yeah, that's great, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to read it for myself, which I think is a really smart thing, then keep on watching. The book starts out in the introduction with her revealing this big secret, and this big secret is what actually prompted her to even write the book in the first place. And I feel like at this point it's really no secret. I've seen it on a couple of YouTube videos, like her interview with The Breakfast Club, what's her name, Robin Roberts interview with her. But the big secret is, for all these years, 40, she found out I think like 5 or so years ago, her father is not her biological father, this man that raised her all her life. It causes her to question her identity, and then that prompts her to write this book. And I thought this was really interesting. In the introduction, she talks about this road leading up to her home in LA, and it's a winding road with a lot of twists and turns, and I think that's really symbolic for everything that you read afterwards in the book, where her life is full of a bunch of twists and turns. She starts off with where she grew up in the Bronx. Talks about being molested. Even though she doesn't go into detail, she talks about waking up and her pants being like somewhat down, and she's doesn't know like exactly what happened, but she knows, she has this feeling like something happened, because I don't sleep like this. I don't normally wake up like this. I can't remember if this was the next night or a week later, but there's another incident where she's with the boy who she thinks is the one that touched her, and she fakes going to sleep. And this boy is really crafty. He creeps to the chair beside her. She's like trying to stay asleep, but she's still like kind of looking at her eye, And then he puts his hand on the bed and kind of waits, and she's just still, you know, laying there, creeping outside of her eye. And then he gets even closer, and she wakes up and she confronts him. And then she goes to tell her mom. And in the moment of her getting ready to tell her mom, she freezes up. And instead, she tells her mom that she has a headache. I was curious to know, were there other incidents? Was this the only incident? I remember during the Me Too movement, she was a strong advocate during that movement, and that's kind of what makes me curious to know that if there were other incidents. That was the only one that she shared in the book. She did talk a little bit about her schooling. I did not know she went to school in DC, GW. She did some studies in India and became really interested like in yoga and spirituality. She then goes on to talk about how it was really common in her family to pretend like everything was fine. As I'm reading her book, I'm seeing parts of myself. It's comforting to know that, you know, you're not alone. Like the way that you think and things that have happened to you, things you've experienced, you aren't alone. So when she talks in the book about, you know, just always striving for perfection, always saying that she's fine even if she's not fine, part of that too is just fear of judgment, fear of, you know, you sharing things and people misunderstanding or judging you for some of your choices. She has this acronym for the word fine. PG-13. Effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. So yes, I say I'm fine, but I'm really all these other things. That is the core of her passion for acting, is pretending. She gets to pretend to be someone else. She's pretending in this character to not be herself. And if you've seen Scandal, she does an awesome job at it. And she has other works too. I just say Scandal because that was the first one that I fell in love with. She moves on into talking about her career. Her first show, well, film rather, Our Song. And that kind of snowballed all these other productions that she came to be in. It was either Save the Last Dance or She Hate Me. It was one of the two by Spike Lee, She Hate Me. Anyway, she goes into this clinic to get this abortion. She doesn't use her real name. And the nurse tells her, "You look like Kerry Washington." And it's in that moment that she realizes that she can't hide. She is now somewhat of a public figure. And so for some sense of privacy, but also to further her career, she moves to LA. She moves to LA. She goes to talk about like all of her works, and I'm going to show them to you on the screen, but they may not be in the exact order. Django, Ray, which I thought was interesting because she's played Jamie Foxx's wife twice. I never made the connection. Fires Everywhere on Hulu. That was really good. The Last King of Scotland. Okay, this is the one film she's in that I have not seen. A little bit of backstory about that one. So I was talking with a friend of mine about the Liberian Civil War, which for those of you that don't know, my father is from Liberia, and I am very familiar with the Civil War. During the Civil War, there were a number of different generals, and these generals went under pseudonames. They had code nicknames so that if there was ever any type of persecution or they were being looked for by the government, no one would know their real name. One of the most popular generals went by the name General Butt Naked. I know, crazy name, but he got that name because during the war he very ruthless, but he was known to go to battle without any clothes on. And the rumors were that he had special powers. In a battle, bullets would go through him and he wouldn't die. He could disappear. In the natural, that seems very false. In the spiritual, it seems quite possible. He actually has a testimony on YouTube, but the source of his power was human sacrifices. Now, I know I'm getting like I'm going off the path, but I promise you I'm coming back. So I'm telling this to my friend and she says, have you heard of Idi Amin? And I'm like, no. So she says, well, there's this movie about his life called The Last King of Scotland. So okay, well, you know, I have to check it out. So the reason why she said that is because Idi Amin, he was a Ugandan president between like, I think 1971 to 1979. And he was known for cannibalism. There were rumors that he had heads of people in his refrigerator. Talk about Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh, I just kept it in the back of my mind. I love everything about African history, but I kept it in the back of my mind that I was going to watch that film. As I'm reading this book by Kerry Washington, I did not know the whole time she played in that movie. She was the wife of Idi Amin, who was played by Forrest Whitaker. Another great actor, by the way. So now I'm like, yeah, I have to see that movie because everything that I have seen her in is good. Even, which she didn't mention it in the book, but I don't know, do you remember the Netflix film American Son? I don't recall her mentioning that in the book, but that was also really good. It only had like 2 scenes. I think it was like she was either in the house or she was in the jail. It was just those 2 scenes, but it was still really good. And that probably was the one film where I've seen her make the Kerry face the most. And you know the Kerry face. I can't make it, but it's this like sour, it's like when you smell something sour and you're like, that is the Kerry face. If I can find a clip, I'm going to put it I'm going to put it in here. He also talks about her husband, which I was very shocked because Kerry, like I said, is very private, and she does not, even posting pictures, she does not post a lot of pictures. If you follow her Instagram, she does not post a lot of pictures of him. And I think that's beautiful though, because I think like love is sacred, and unless that's something that you and your partner have decided, you know, to publicly talk about things in your relationship, then by all means. The other thing that I was really curious to know is what made her mom share this secret that her dad wasn't her dad. Because in reading the book, towards the end, her mom was not going to tell her. Her mom was going to write her a letter, hide it away in like a safety deposit box, and then when her mom passed away, she'd open the box, find the letter, read it, find out. So, and it may have been in the book, but I just don't recall like what was it that made her mom change her mind. Unfortunately, she still to this day does not know who her real father is. All right, well, that is all I have to share with you about her book. If you have any recommendations for any other books that you think I should read, comment and leave that below. Take care, be blessed, and I will see you in the next one.